And hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode of Holistic Love, where you get to not only learn about ways to improve your life and grow as a human being, but also how can we develop more healthy connections, right? And how can we bring that to a place of wholeness and beauty? And in the audience today, of course, I have the beautiful ladies here, Ashley and Jenna, with their special guest here. And they're going to talk today about a very amazing self-care practice, which is meditation, y'all guys. And I can't just tell you how important meditation is in our lives, how it brings us so much abundance of self-love and clarity and all the things. But you know what? I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let our beautiful host and our guest talk today. So ladies, y'all take it away.
Hey everyone, Jenna Love here, your dating and relationship coach. And you know, as a coach, one of the very first things that I always task my clients to do is to actually create the habit of daily meditation. This to me, I think, is the most important key factor in connecting with yourself and actually slowing down, stepping out of the rat race and tuning in to you. And that's the foundation of becoming magnetic. So it's a vital key.
Mm-hmm. All right, my name is Ashley, and I'm being a personal growth coach. Can I say that again?
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm a personal growth coach. And for me, meditation has saved me a lot. A lot of the answers are within. You just have to quiet your mind and look inward to know the answer. You have everything within you, and that takes several minutes a day. It could go from 5 minutes, a minute to 10 minutes, and the answer is going to come to you. So I practice meditation every day, and also calming my nervous system when I'm like anxiety, feeling some type of way. Just quieting everything from the world, the noise, it's helped me a lot become a better person and feeling gratitude and feel blessed ready for the and feeling blessed and hold on and it's helped me start my day every day with a full of abundance. So yes, meditation. I actually had a hard time doing it for so long because I have ADHD, so my mind is thinking 100 things and I get distracted. But what's helped me the most is guided meditation, going to classes. When everyone's doing the same thing, then there's no other option than just like also doing it. So sometimes if you cannot do it by yourself, I recommend a class or a YouTube or an app of meditation to help you meditate. Yes.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yes.
Yeah, so we're so excited to have you here, Donovan.
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Donovan. I'm not a coach or a teacher like these two here. I'm just pretty much a single dude entrepreneur. And meditation was very foreign to me. Being from New York City, I was constantly on the go. And I started finally meditating and feeling better. And then, I went all in and just stopped talking for 2 years to pretty much reset.
Wow. Oh my God.
Everything in my thoughts. Yeah, just a self-study I could have been in there for 6 years. I had no idea how long I was going to go in for. So
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so when you said 2 years, when it happened, what were the challenges? Were there any challenges? Like, were you almost gonna speak, or like, what helped you stay quiet and keep being quiet for so long?
I had to be a little bit forgiving. Sometimes it slipped out, and Mom said I had to talk to her, so I had to call her every once in a while. So I had to break my silence. She's like, "You're gonna drive me crazy if you don't talk to me."
Absolutely.
So I get that. She's like, "I'm tired of the emails," you know.
Yes.
She still lives in New Jersey, so I had to call her. I couldn't even see her. So, well, I mean, it all started with the meditation. I was just studying my thoughts and how long they've been there, why they were still haunting me, and everything, and. I just realized that I had a lot of negative words that were just also coming out involuntarily. And I just wanted to stop sabotaging myself by using the words can'ts and shoulds I had to study where my shoulds came from. Were they mine? Were they somebody else's? Were they my mother's? Were their TVs? So, yeah, so that's where it all just came out. And I wanted to go into a mountain in Tibet and disappear, but I had a business to run here. And if I did that, I would have put myself and my mother into debt and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to shut up here. And I bought a notebook and paper and just stopped talking. And I was like, for DJ'd, I ran my businesses. I talked to all my customers via email and that. So communication was still there, but it removed the sound of my words, which was just my training and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. And like I said, I could have been in there for 2 years. And people asked me, when did you decide to come out? And I'm like, I really just didn't decide. It was just over. Because I would just bring up thoughts that were haunting me for years, whether it's a bully or an ex-girlfriend. This stuff was happening like for decades. Yeah, there was just no more emotional charge in there anymore. So I realized that it's pretty much over. So it was almost like a mental death of me, which is strange to do. Like not many people would turn on themselves and try and just dismantle their entire, personality and stuff like that. But that's what had to be done, and I realized none of it was me. It was just all my training, whether it's school, parents, and it's nobody's fault. Again, we're all just on autopilot, and I was
Yeah.
on autopilot, so I had to dismantle all of that. So the hardest thing was plugging back into this society. I'll be honest; it's still kind of hard to do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, I love this thought that you brought up around the word should.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is one of a few other words that I've completely cut out of my vocabulary as well. And I believe that the word should can be violent in some cases. When somebody is shitting upon you, I actually replace it with the word shitting on you.
Yeah. I
They
can
are
see it, yeah.
actually shitting on you. When you tell someone that they should do something, you are essentially you're shitting on them.
Yeah.
And my husband and I have a practice at home, though. We do not shit on each other. And instead, I choose to replace it with the word could. So if I feel like you should do something instead, I say you could do this
Yeah.
and give that person an option.
Yeah. I replaced can't with challenge.
Oh, that's good.
It's
Okay.
challenging. Like it's challenging to deal with people. I used to say, "Oh, I can't deal with people. I can't find good women. I can't." That was my cancer just coming out. Now I'm like, "Oh, it's a challenge. That just means it's possible, but
Yeah.
it's just challenging." So,
Beautiful.
And you attract everything that you say. So if you say I can't, then you're not gonna be able.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I started noticing is my patterns. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like it's not just a coincidence that I'm attracting these same type of people in my life, or these scenarios just keep happening, and I can't, so I'm going in a circle. I'm like, I was blaming the outside world. I'm like, oh, I just can't catch a break. You know what I mean? Instead that people are just messed up. Finally, I'm like, it's not just a coincidence that this is happening. So I started turning on me. I'm like, what am I doing to bring this into my world? So
Mm-hmm.
Also, oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that also I learned this one I think one of my exes about he would not like that I say should have, could have, or would have because he's like there's no should have what happened and or could have and would have like no you like so
the what ifs.
the would have so it's like no what you're gonna do and like just talk present and future like not the past like leave the past is the past like it's what you're gonna do now and forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I tell my clients is to listen to those thoughts that include words like can't, don't, never, always, no. And these are direct indicators of where you have limiting beliefs and where something could be blocking you. So, there's no good guys out there right there. That could be a limiting belief. Or I can't. I don't have time right now for dating. That's a limiting belief. So these are direct like pointers to the problems. And so for you to be able to create the spaciousness to actually hear the dialogue in your head was so empowering, I bet.
Well, it's just like meditation. Once you quiet yourself, you can't really run from your thoughts. It comes right to the surface. So, and the thing is to get starting meditation, it is not fun at first. It is very challenging. There's
true.
nothing peaceful about it because when I close my eyes, everything that was bothering me from grade school came at me like a wave. It almost made me twitch, you know what I mean? I didn't want to deal with it. And the first reaction is like everything else, turn on the TV, turn to drugs, turn to alcohol just to dim it down. But then it just comes up next year. So I was tired of it coming up. I mean, I was like broken up with these girls for like over 10 years, but why are they still coming up and making me mad to the point where I want to drink myself to sleep?
Yeah, a lot of people
I was
numb
tired of being
themselves.
haunted by it. I would just thought as you get older, you find another woman, those things just kind of fade away. But I
No,
realized they just were not going away. So
no, not at
yeah,
all.
so I started reading about healing and read a bunch of books. You know, got the Amazon Kindle or whatever, and was just going through it. And I noticed in every chapter that there was a chapter of meditation in each of these books. So I just saw the commonality, whether it was like Buddhist or something else. It wasn't so much that religion of it, but each one had a chapter on meditation and reflecting. Like, man, I'm gonna have to sit still finally, which from a New Yorker is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
We were just so I used to give myself, a drama just for taking a nap. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
yeah.
oh, get up, you got stuff to do, man. Get back out. So I was
Yeah.
calming down was very hard for me to do. So
Wow.
yeah,
So much kudos and
Yeah.
respect for you. Like 2 years is a long
Yeah.
time. I remember when we had met for the first
Yeah.
time, you were DJing at an event and
Yeah.
I came up to you and asked you a question and we were still able to get our points across and have that little conversation that we needed to have. But
it takes a
I
lot of
rem-
the fluff out of conversations. They become deeper in ways. Yeah, because you have to kind of get to a point, and it creates like curiosity when everybody sees that. It's not something you run into every day.
Oh, it was so
Yeah.
inspiring. I was like, I wonder how long he's doing that for. And I
Yeah.
wanted to learn more, but we couldn't have a conversation around
Yeah.
it, right? It was like this, like, wondering in my head, like, I wonder what's happening there. So I'm so glad we're able to have this
It was funny
conversation.
it was funny watching people react. Some people were so awkward they kind of almost ran away.
Wow.
Some people just started talking sign language to me, and I'm like, I could hear. I'm just not talking. You know what I mean? So they didn't know what to do. I almost wanted to learn sign language just for that. But and then other things, it was just weird. Like even in the lines at HEB, people would see that and they asked why I was doing it, and I would just write to heal, and I would point to my head, and they would actually hug me in an HEB line.
Oh, wow.
That's never happened with me
powerful.
when I'm talking.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
And
So
not
it's
giving
just
hugs and then
yeah. So it just shows that everybody's suffering when they saw that this guy's doing it to get better. I think it just created a connection without even talking. So
I would love to hear more about this piece
Yeah.
because, I mean, I hear you saying, like, okay, I took a step back from dialogue and I created more spaciousness. I started reading books. I started meditating. What was it, do you think, that created that shift in you that allowed the healing process to take place?
It was just noticing the same thoughts that kept haunting me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I was like, why is this not going away? Like, I loved my life. I had a successful business, but yet a bully from 8th grade, a flashback. The flashbacks would just always just come up without your, even, I don't care. Even the flashbacks are coming up now. The difference is they don't affect me like they used to.
Oh.
The flashbacks will never end. It's not forgetting. It's forgive. It's like once you forgive it and you cut the tie to it, it's remembering without the emotion. So I can bring up my ex-girlfriends now, and it's just there's nothing here. It's just a thing that happened. But back in the day, if I were to say her name, a flashback of an event with us together would happen, and I would immediately get the urge to drink something because that was my cover-up. Or I would turn on the TV to avoid it until the next day. So yeah, so once I started doing that, and I started meditating and forgiving and some of the big stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just not there anymore. So now when they come back, I'm like, I want all this gone. So that's why I want to go through all my memories as far as I can remember, and just cut these ties. So I can just when they flash back, it's just like almost like, oh, you got to pay your phone bill now. It's in that category of thoughts.
Yeah.
It's not in the deeper ones where it's like, oh, this is the real me. No, it's like, oh, I got to pay my phone bill, ex-girlfriend. It's up there now, where it just flies by. You know what I mean? It doesn't create any type of anger in me anymore. So
I admire you that you're because a lot of people run away, how you say, like to numb the pain, like with drugs, alcohol, name it, all the bad things, because they don't want to feel it. And you actually went through and did the work, and that's very powerful.
yeah, I was surprised at myself too. Honestly, I feel like if we were taught this stuff in high school, we wouldn't be going through this. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have to go through a 2-year vow of silence to heal. We're all going to go through something. There's no way around it. Nobody has a perfect life. But if we're taught in either grade school or high school that there's these tools that can help you get past whatever's happened to you, you don't blame and hate people for the rest of your life. You'll be processing as you're going along.
Yeah. So one key point that I'm just going to throw out from the teachings that I've gone through is that whenever you find that thought that I can't or I don't, like ask yourself, what do you want instead of that? And start repeating that over and over again.
Yeah.
And that will help to rewire that old thought.
It's like training your mind.
Exactly.
Well, it's like how it got in there to begin with was just repetitive behavior. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I had to study, like, because my dad died when I was early, so where did my manly influences come from? Since I had a single mother, I was in front of the TV the whole time because she was working her ass off to take care of me, which I respect now. But
Same.
I realized I got all my toughness of what a man is from the movies.
Oh wow.
So I studied myself. I'm like, all right, that wasn't me. That was that character in that movie, or those '80s love romances. That's
So
what
it
I thought
affects
love was.
whatever we
You know what I
see.
mean?
The
So when it didn't
conditioning.
happen, I'm like,
Yeah.
why is this not working like those '80s movies I used to watch? So I had
That's-
to cut all
yeah.
that training, out of me.
That's a what? Oh, I was gonna say that's a can relate on the shows because in my culture, the Mexican culture, there's shows called telenovelas and it's all toxic. It's all the girls get cheated on, they get beaten up, and the guys are called machistas. They're the man and they're you should respect them, and the woman should be at the house and taking like all this I was watching, and now that I look back, I'm like, this is why like the culture is so toxic, and why my mom picked up a lot of toxic behaviors. My dad and I wanted to be the generation how they say break the how do you
The
say
cycle?
Curse breaker.
curse breaking,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like I'm not gonna be that. I'm not gonna be all that they taught what I saw. So it's good that you also were aware of that, and you're like I'm not gonna be those people.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm terrified of the children today. They have so much influence
And the
compared to what we
Disney,
had growing
yeah.
up. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So it's all just food and stimulation that's coming in. So God knows what they're gonna think they're who they are when they grow up, because they're gonna have all this training going into them. If they don't know how to cut loose, they're gonna think all this toxic behavior is who they are, and I'll just take it forward.
Yeah.
With them, and pass it. It's a virus. I mean, our parents passed it to us. Unfortunately, they didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And if I didn't wake up, I would pass it over to the next generation too. So it's I label it as a virus, unfortunately.
Virus.
Yeah, and we literally are the computers being programmed.
Yeah.
And so this is a topic that I could talk about for days because I'm very, very passionate as a practitioner of NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I know that when we're in a trance state, when we're watching a TV show, everything that we're seeing and hearing is going directly into our unconscious mind.
Yeah.
So I make it a point to say a prayer before I turn on a show. And I say, dear unconscious mind, you know what is good and healthy for you. Please delete, reject, or cancel anything that is not of my highest good. And I notice as I'm watching that show, as I see something toxic come up, that I will actually snap out of it and be like, oh yeah, that's the stuff I don't want programmed. And I'll actually, I literally step out and I'm like, oh no, thank you. It's like that prayer really does work.
Yeah.
So
Good.
I encourage you guys to try that. And one other point I just wanted to reiterate that I think was the magic for you, because I'm like sitting here and I'm like, I really want to study what you did. And I'm like, what specifically did you do? And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all of that being with yourself that you did is what transcended all of that stuff, that negative stuff that was stored in your body. And so it's that saying that they say to feel it is to heal it. So because you didn't go off and numb it and you sat with it and you didn't distract yourself with other people and places and things, and you were with it, that's what let it flow through your body and exit.
Yeah.
And
Which is the hardest thing to do, because nobody really wants to face their pain. We're all just taught to run from it.
Yes.
It wasn't, like I said, it was not a good feeling for a long time. It was just like going to the gym if you've never gone before. You're working out muscles that you haven't even tried before, and you're sore as hell the next day,
How long did it take you to get to a comfortable situation? You were like, okay, I can do this.
I would say after the first year, I pretty much processed my past, because I would keep bringing it up just to test myself. Like even in meditation now, like I was sitting out here in that park, that little bench over there. Sometimes I'll just bring my ex-girlfriends up on purpose just to see if I handled it or
Oh,
not.
wow.
You know what I mean? I'll say her name. And if there's no like, oh, I'm pissed that happened, or I can't believe she did that, it's gone. It's pretty much, you cut the string from it. It's just...
let's talk about that, the cutting of the strings. So are you talking about Ho'oponopono here? Are you talking about like actually cutting the cord, or are you just saying like an emotional
tie to it. I mean, like I
Okay.
said, like it's not forgetting, because you can never forget it. The flashbacks still come up no matter what. That's what our brain does. That's how we learn to do things. You know what I mean? That's how I remember to drive a car. If those flashbacks weren't here, I'd have to learn how to drive a car every day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's unconscious
Yeah.
competence.
So again, but now those flashbacks come up. I don't get mad when I have to drive a car.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't get mad when I think about my past anymore. So it's just in that category. Whereas these flashbacks would just come up, and I would react instantly by getting just mad. So I had to, like, why am I mad at this? Why is she still getting me mad when she's not even in my life anymore? Or why is this situation still upsetting me? So I would just study it, and I just and once you start realizing your own stuff, you stop blaming others. Because you realize
Can you repeat that one time?
Yeah.
Just
once you start realizing, I guess, your own bull inside of you, that you're training, you're brainwashing your autopilot, you just start to stop judging other people for theirs, because you're like, you know what, they're just lost in their own stuff, and they just don't know how to process it. Like even like mental ill people or school shooters, I used to call them evil. I'm like, that's just a lost boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, there is mental problems. Don't get me wrong out there. Sometimes there is something wrong with people's brains, and I'm not going to say there's not. But a lot of times when you want to hurt somebody that bad, it's because you're hurting so much inside and you don't know how to react.
Yeah, it's one of the
Yeah.
presuppositions of NLP is everyone is doing the best they can
Yeah.
with the resources they have at any given time.
Yeah. But growing up, we had no resources, you know
No.
what I mean? And there's more now, I would feel, because, I think meditation is more talked about these days than it was with me growing up in the 80s, or it just wasn't that many influences talking about it. There was no YouTube back in the day and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say something that that's what my brother said. Like, said, I'm proud of you, Ashley, because you have the resources now. Our parents didn't.
Yeah.
Like all they knew is what they got taught, and that's what they showed us. And so I forgive them because
They
it's
were
not their
doing the
fault.
best they could.
Yeah. And one last thing I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
How did you feel the first time you talked after 2 years? And do you remember who was the first person?
I don't. I actually still bump into people who haven't heard my voice yet. And it's
Like
still
me?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's like,
They're like, oh my God, that's what your voice sounds like.
I know.
Like, I wanted to mess with them and like talk like, like a cartoon character.
just to
to
different,
yeah,
that'd be
talk like a
funny.
girl. Like, oh my
You're
God,
like,
I didn't picture that. But, no, it's just, I came back. It's just the problem is communicating. Like, again, I don't judge people now, but it's also hard to talk to the ego and other people.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
haven't done
when
the
I
work.
I was dating a girl recently, and she's just lost, and we get into fights a lot. I'm like, I know that's not her. That's her training. She told me she's been holding on to shit as a child, and I'm like, and I would love to heal her, and I would love to, I try sometimes, but
It's not
sometimes
your
it
job,
backfires on
yeah.
me, and it starts to make me sick, because it's like talking to a brick wall. So I'm just, with these events and doing this, I'm trying to inject these little seeds around and just let people know there's a way out.
That is a whole nother podcast
Yeah.
that we need to have. I love that.
Yeah. So.
yeah.
So even my DJ events, I'm holding a silent retreat on May 18th and stuff like that, where I'm DJing and everybody's talking on pen and paper, just like
And
I
no
did.
phones.
No phones either.
No phones,
No
just
phones.
quietness.
Nice.
So we can
So-
experience a little bit of it.
That's what I'm hoping to start talking to people about it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Way
Even
to
if it's
go.
just for like a couple hours, they'll see if they'll start reflecting on themselves. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're gonna help others.
I hope
Yes.
so. Yeah. I
Thank
do. Yeah.
Well, I have to say that I've had to be silent most of this time. So I thank you so much, Ashley, for bringing Donovan. Your medicine is so
Thank you so much, yeah.
needed, and what you don't realize too is that just by sharing your journey, just by having done this, you're lifting us all up. You're showing us that it can happen.
Yeah.
That it's possible. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah.
Yes, and to our audience, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Holistic Love, where we're really just all figuring it out ourselves, like how do we begin to really begin the process of loving ourselves and having authentic connections and being the thing that we want to see in this world. And so again, I love you guys so much, all of y'all who are listening, and Jenna and Ashley, you want to just say a few little farewell words?
Yes. Thank you guys so much thank you, Donovan, for coming and
no
joining
problem.
us today. We're so grateful for you and being the beacon and this big movement that's taking place, and then actually creating opportunities for people to do practice and try it themselves. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem,
And
yeah.
blessings to all of you out there who tuned in. We love you. Keep shining, and we'll see you next time.
So I'm grateful for Donovan. I actually met him like a week ago, and I love putting great people together with other great people, because creating magic together, we can do a full of abundance and just pure magic. And this,
Yeah.
I can't wait. I feel it. I feel it here. Everyone has a skill, experience, and things to say to others, to heal others and help others. And yeah, we actually gonna work together, and maybe we can all work together, and yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Any way the audience can find you? Just a little.
Well, I pretty much I don't do the social like as far as personals, but my company is called the Underground ATX on Facebook and Instagram. I have events from roller discos to meditation retreats to house music in Zilker Park. I do a bunch of stuff, but I just recently started focusing on the silent retreats. Actually, I have a farm about 40 minutes from here. I'm going to start doing silent retreats, camping overnight, not talking the entire time. So, yeah. But DJs and food and everything else will still be there. So the interactions are still there. Just don't use your words for a while and see what happens. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen, and you heard it here at Holistic Love.